Hello and welcome to another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. My voice is a little bit froggy right now. I'm still fighting a bit of a cough, but I'm getting better. So, I was thinking tonight that there's a couple of series that I haven't done an update on in quite a while. I have gotten some new firearms since I've done updates on these particular playlists or these particular topics. The one that I'm talking about tonight is Same Caliber Firearms. And I just did a video on reloading, and it got me really thinking about part of the reason why I wanted to reload one of these calibers, and part of the reason why I like the discussion on Same Caliber Firearms. So let's go ahead and show you what I'm talking about today. So I had this thought, I don't know, a year and a half ago about different firearms that you can buy, pistol and rifle combinations or shotgun and pistol combinations that use the same ammunition. And in the TEOTWAWKI, the end of the world as we know it, or SHTF situation, would it be more beneficial to have two firearms that use the same caliber, whether it's a carbine and a pistol or a shotgun and a pistol, so that in the case that you could only carry one type of ammo, or if you had to provide a loved one with a couple of guns to protect themselves, what could you give them that could use the same type of ammunition for a shotgun or rifle and a pistol? Just making it easier to carry one caliber, one thing you had to worry about. And in this case, this is 410 bore shotgun shells that I'm talking about today. And I have a couple different mods on this particular one. But realistically, I get to thinking about this because I just did a video on reloading and I have all the components to reload 410. So in this particular case, not only is it beneficial to have a shotgun or a long barrel rifle type gun and a pistol in the same caliber, I can use 410, which is even more beneficial because now I can reload 410. So what are the two guns I have here today? Well, one of them is no surprise. I've done several videos on it in the past couple months. That is my Bond Arms Derringer. So if you've been paying attention to my channel at all over the past couple months, this is a Bond Arms Rough and Rowdy Derringer. It takes 2.5-inch 410 shells, or it also takes 45 long Colt ammunition. Now, in this particular case, because it's a same caliber firearm discussion, the shotgun that I have here does not take 45 long Colt. In fact, I don't have any shotguns that could take 45 long Colt. Shooting a 45 long Colt out of a shotgun is probably a really bad idea. So this is kind of a one-way discussion on using 410 shells in a pistol and a shotgun, not the interchangeability of 45 long Colt and 410. Just talking about 410. But again, the diversity of the 410 shells, you have quite a bit of options that you can buy as far as shot shells go. These are just some Winchester AA birdshot loads. They're high brass shells. All 410 is high brass, but in particular, these are 2.5-inch, half-ounce of number 9 pellets. So this would be good for shooting something up close, maybe a rabbit or a squirrel, or keeping a snake off you or something like that with this particular pistol. I have shot this out to 50 yards using slugs. It's a little bit difficult, and birdshot out of this thing, you probably have a 5-yard or less effective distance when you're using birdshot. But for, again, snakes, rats, squirrels, something that's close to you, 5 to 7 yards, you could probably hit it with birdshot, no problem. When it comes to slugs out of this gun, again, I wouldn't trust it for self-defense necessarily, but I've been able to hit a steel gong and a paper target at 50 yards with this, even with these little tiny sights that it has on it. So, I mean, the sights on this aren't particularly good. I gotta see if I can get this where you can actually see, but little tiny trench rear sight, fixed blade front sight, and when you line them up, you basically have to kind of guess, let me see, you have to kind of guess where the elevation is on this thing to hit that target. But, I mean, they're ample sights. They're definitely not target sights whatsoever. Loading this, I've showed you before. You push this little lever down, releases the barrel, you flip the barrel back, then you can stick the shells in the barrel and flip that barrel back down, close it. Now you're ready to fire. This has a cross bolt safety on it, which is a little bit odd for a pistol to have a cross bolt safety. and it works kind of backwards from what you would normally see on a rifle. If you push this one to the right, that is fire. You can see the red stripe there. When you push it to the left, that is in safe mode, which is counter to what most rifles have. Usually on a rifle, you push it to the right because it's made for a right-handed person, so you push it to the right and it's fire. You push it to the left and it's safe. This one's a little bit different, but very effective gun. It's reliable. It has a terrible trigger on it. Just the way the trigger pivots, you kind of have to pull down and back on it. But it's a very, very heavy trigger. Again, they say that it's good to have a heavy trigger in a gun like this because originally that would have been the only safety you had, was a really heavy trigger. Now it has this crossbolt safety, so it's a little bit better. But it's a well-made, heavy gun. If you ever run out of ammunition or it doesn't want to fire, you can throw it at an assailant and it would probably knock him out because it's pretty heavy. So that's the pistol we're talking about in this first variation of the same caliber firearms in 410. The shotgun that we're looking at is I always get it mixed up. I think it's a Stevens Model 301 made by Savage. Yeah, it's a Stevens Model 301. Let me see if I can get it in the camera here. There you go. Stevens Model 301, 410 gauge, 2.5 and 3-inch shells. There we go. So the action on this is a break action shotgun. So there's a lever back here behind the hammer. You push that lever down, tip the barrel down. This has a spring-loaded ejector, so when the barrel tips down, it shoots that shell out. This is a single-shot shotgun. It's about the simplest gun you could possibly ever have. Close the barrel. It's safe just as it is because the round can't go off. It won't fire when there's a live round in the chamber, even if the hammer is down, because this has a transfer bar safety like a revolver does. They do have a little thumb safety on here, so if you cock the hammer, you can put that thumb safety on. I don't particularly like carrying it that way. If I'm going to carry it, I'm going to carry it round in the chamber, hammer down, and if I need to fire, I just pull that hammer back and then pull the trigger. The trigger on this really isn't that bad. I don't know what the weight is. I do need to get a trigger weight gauge at some point in time. I think that would be beneficial because I always talk about trigger weight and I never really know what they are. So eventually I'll get one of those. But the trigger on it's not too bad. The finish on this, it's just some kind of a black nitride or something finish. It seems to be very durable so far. The other nice thing about a gun like this is you can take it down. So on the front of the foregrip, there's a button. You push that button in, pull down on this foregrip, and the plastic piece comes off. Then when you release the barrel, you just pull back on it a little bit, and now you have this really handy rifle. I mean, the barrel is still pretty long, but let me stick this thing right here. The barrel is still pretty long. I mean, it's a 20 or 22-inch barrel. I think it's a 22-inch barrel plus the size of the chamber, which is about 3 or 4 inches. So it's about a 26-inch barrel, but you can still throw this in a backpack very easily. You know, throw this thing in a backpack, throw the Bond Arms Derringer in your pocket or in a little holster on your hip, and you got, you know, 2 viable option firearms that use the same caliber for survival or for hunting or whatever you want to do. So that is the rather inexpensive version of the same caliber firearms in 410 bore. You have the Stevens Model 301, and there's companies that have made break action shotguns forever. Ivor Johnson made them forever. The Harrington and Richardson, I think, made some. Winchester. I mean, tons and tons of companies, even New England Firearms, which was in Gardner, Massachusetts. Tons of companies have made break action shotguns. So they're relatively inexpensive. They're very viable options. They're simple. They're easy to take down and clean. And a lot of people overlook them because they're just a single action, you know, single barrel break action shotgun. They're simple, but they're cheap. But they make great options for taking out in the field. If you had a camp somewhere and you needed to keep a gun at the camp, you don't want to have a real expensive firearm there. A lot of times you can get these for $100, $150, $200. I was in a gun shop yesterday looking around at their used rack. I always look, even though I don't need more firearms, but I'm always looking for cool stuff. And there was a Ivor Johnson 20 gauge single shot break action shotgun for $200. And I was actually debating picking it up, even though I don't need it, just because, for one, Ivor Johnson is a really old company. They made bicycles, they made motorcycles, they made firearms. They were actually made in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, which is one town away from where I grew up. And Fitchburg, if you know anything about it, not a prestigious city. Most people that live there don't admit they live there. It's kind of a crappy city to live in. But they have some cool history. So Ivor Johnson is, one option that would be cool. And again, this Bond Arms Derringer, probably the cheapest 410 bore pistol that you can find. You can get the Taurus Judge, you can get the Smith & Wesson Governor, but they're a lot more money. These, sometimes you can get them for between $250 and $350. There's other companies that made Derringers exactly like this that have 410 bore as well, but this is what's readily available right now. A lot of shops around me have these. And again, I've seen pretty good deals on these, because sometimes people buy them and think it's a cool novelty gun and take them out and shoot them, and they realize that they're not really that much fun to shoot. So I put bigger grips on mine. Again, I did a video about that. Those are from PMG Grips on eBay, and they add a really nice touch to it. They fit well, they look good, and they really did make it a little bit more shootable. So that's just another discussion on same caliber firearms. The Stevens Model 301 break action single shot shotgun, and the Bond Arms Rough and Rowdy Derringer, both in 410 bore shotgun shells. Thanks for watching another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. Make sure you subscribe and like if you like what you see. If not, leave a comment even if you hate what you see. But I thank you for watching. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you support your 2A rights. God bless America. Get out there and shoot. And you remember, somebody tells you to give up some of your freedom for the greater good. You remind them that freedom is the greater good.